Attention gamers. The other day as I was cleaning jizz stains off my altar boy uniform, I couldn't stop thinking about one thing. Would it be better to gold max a build or movement max if my sole goal in this piss bit of a game is to farm a few clips for the tubies and then blame my own mistakes, lack of climbing, collapsing marriage, anger management, drug addiction and rap sheet of white collar crime on my solo queue teammates? And here's where I'm at. If you take a fade and twist him with these runes, you can achieve only fangirl with exposed nipples level of income per minute. You see, his passive gives extra gold on minion kills, but news flash, that bish can crit, so you throw a color collector and more cloaks than what would be found in Voldemort's coat closet, and bam, every time you kill a minion there's just an ejaculation of gold and numbers popping up. What's even better is if you go to Grubbies you can farm all the little sea monkeys, which typically give 1 gold per kill, but now you roll the dice twice so each one can be worth up to 20 gold. This is the essence of gold maxing. On the other hand, with movement speed maxing you can take this lesbian bird breeder with these runes to amplify all your movement speed potential. Then filter the shot by movement speed and you are practically dunking your face in iced Saratoga water bowls. With this build as a mid laner you can get from one lane to another in 5 seconds flat, which makes this game on literal easy mode from a macro perspective, because you can always be where you need to be. So today please throw a Kirby plushie at my subscribe button in an abusive way and let's see which one is better. Starting with gold max, you see I'm wearing my David Blaine costume against KDA ass sucker who, not to toot my own horn, was getting literally wiener shafted early. As you can see, I have her lower than a limbo bar in hell right off the bat. Of course this attracts the attention of some floating crab claw wearing a luminescent jizz sock, so I tell him I'm gonna guess his card and he says no you're not, but he said that before I guessed, so when I say yellow he was legit stunned. Luckily I got feared, so he saved just about everything except for his Fruit of the Looms and that failed gank. Then I pinged Parkour Patrick in the jungle a good 500 million times to basically say, hey, this bitch I'm assigned to hang out with is dumb AF, if you come pay me a visit I promise the visit will pay you, as I whip one more Pikachu card at the bitch for the kill. Keep in mind I'm weaker than a dehydrated geriatric woman with this build, as it's an investment strategy so the trades aren't feeling fantastic, but then I have a big 90 IQ brain idea, and that's to bait a dash then hit a flash, and if I didn't combo slower than a paraplegic slug I totally would have called my mom and said I have a highlight to show you later. Anyways, Talon returns like a raccoon that got fed here once before, so I tell dashing Darla to sit in her own fart cloud while we wait for some Beyblades to arrive, to which she dashes back into danger as if she is in on my gold maxing strategies. That said, this Akali clearly didn't care to go Black Friday shopping when brain cells were on clearance, as she remains more pushed up than a boner in sweatpants, so in the veil of her smoky donut she gets carbonated, and then no amount of dashes can make up for the effect of getting slapped in the face by a holographic Zapdos, so I continue getting the free handouts. I then say, hey, let's test out this viral grub strategy I saw on TikTok, you know, suck off enough of the little jizz babies, and the observant amongst you can see I start with 930 gold, and after wasting a bunch of time waiting for the big mutated ones to impregnate themselves, go to full term and then birth these fucks, I ended up getting about only 100 gold, most of which was probably just passive income from subscribing to Grant Cardone's pyramid scheme, and then I got absolutely sliced in half by a man who has a career in lumberjacking, so my Yelp review on that strategy is that it's not fucking worth it all. But hey, word on the street is that James Franco's little bro got mad chicks for his role in Now You See Me, so I decide to self-fund a spin-off series called Now You See My Hand Up Blitzcrank's Pussy, and then his goth sits in the AI bubble, which is sure to burst soon enough. My build still does an absolute abysmally low amount of damage, but that doesn't matter when I can hit a Flash Pikachu on some Robocop with swollen forearms, but only having to auto him 8.5 times to finally do enough damage to kill him. Then Professor Akali comes in saying, hey guys, remember the good old days in 2019 when clickbaiting thumbnails was basically just a free money button, but none of us give two shits about the internet before YouTube Shorts. Anyways, this sushi roll and her staff are like, Rab, come make out with me in the shrubs, and I'm like, what, are we in 6th grade? And she's like, no you prude, I want to tie up this slut and watch you shove cards in her mouth, and I'm like, whoa, now you're speaking my language, as Akali continues to ruin the integrity of this video by acting like someone who Swag would play against in his game, so I do get the kill, but because it took me 60 attacks I end up dying to the weaponized horseshoe. A few minutes later, and the Smoke Donut Summoner is once again proving that she thinks in black and white, but unfortunately for her Rift, Alexa has announced all game that coming mid lane for my team is a guaranteed way to make a quick buck. As you can see, the peanut gallery is here until wait. The lights turn off a bed sheet with Halo 2 swords as Arms comes dashing in. I decide to toggle attack closest enemy on in my brain, knowing that if I get deep I am not threatening enough to get myself out of that situation, and to my surprise it goes pretty well. Fast forward like 9 seconds and Robocop Crank that Soldier Boy comes in to be the first player ever to get a kill with that support item, so I'm like, if you think that's cool then watch this as I proceed to tickle him with Yu-Gi-Oh cards until he gets bored and runs away. I try to convince him that one of these is eventually gonna hurt, but he doesn't want to hear it. Anyways, I'm just chilling watching all the numbers come out of these dead minion corpses when I decide maybe it'd be a good time to rotate to this fight, so I look down at all the people battling and decide I'm gonna hit them with the hard R. Aphelios gets 3 sharp cardboard slivers shoved up his shithole, and then Jarvis, can you fast forward this boring chase? And then I whip a long boy at their jungler, which does convince them to give up while also giving me enough data to say that gold maxing felt like a bag of dicks just being brushed up against my face back and forth while I wait for something to happen. 4 out of 10, and it was time for movement speed maxing. Alright, this one I go mid on the Valentine distributor. I'm against an Articuno who I know if I dodge the slow moving Titanic sinkers she throws at me I can initiate trades town USA, and that's cool and all, but her passive makes the early game boring as all tits, so I decide to get in trouble with my jungler instead. Unfortunately I held Ignite for next game, which long story short meant my shitty jungler would be losing hard, as I'm now just realizing that the junglers in both games were playing the same champ, which is definitely not going to help my narrative that these are not custom games with simp viewers. I promise I am not swagged out, it's just a coincidence, but damn if that's not sus. Anyways, the Freeze Pop Falcon decides to overstay, like she received an invite to an imaginary after party or some shit, so obviously that shit isn't gonna fly on my watch, so I kill her and then deal with the reality that I can't even kill an egg. But luckily for me this chick has less cards to play than a gold maxing Twisted Fate, so I know it's a sure deal. I then get 6, which means it's time to actually have fun in this game, aka fuck farming. I play League to run around killing people, and this Halloween horror costume Riven is going to be my first victim. Anivia has not been taught the reality that mid laners typically do come back mid, as I swear her parents have no condom regret almost daily when they see the dense rock they created, as her plans to trump me fail as I go full blown illegal immigrant to put the ass in the assist. I decide to head bot because I'm bored, so despite them not being pushed up I figured I'll make an appearance, and if we're being honest my contribution to this fight was about as useless as a burnt peanut's contribution to any extraction, but things ended up going well, and by the time their jungler came down all he could do was get tied up and spit on by Panda Express Lux. I leave lane pissed off that I desk popped an Ignite on that hoe, but luckily when I have to head back down to check if I left my wallet down there, our Lux lands a missed Q, and it just so turns out I did leave my wallet and it was a bit thicker when I picked it back up. I then have some business to attend, which means turning the gang back up there into an outnumbered shit fest where 3 of us end up playing patty cake on a self-fertilizing egg before it can turn into a hawk again. This is then followed by my making a trip up top mainly to look at Riven's butt cheeks again, but that doesn't last long if you're smelling what I'm stepping in. Anyways, my jungler rotates up because he so desperately wants at least one person to authentically say jungler diff in chat at the end of the game, like that's what this sad sack of shit lives for, so I say okay I will help you diff the kid, you poor boy. I actually felt so bad that I told him even when he's not around I will see if I can Uber Eats some Panda Express MSG to get shoved right down that shitter's pie hole to make it even harder for him to come back. Anivia was taking advantage of the whole my parents are out of town on business thing, as she did commit some sins in my absence, but I caught the whole thing on camera and was quick to swoop in and issue punishment. Then back up top, not because of the bunny costume but more so because the idea of being the guy who always arrives too late to save his tower and then fills himself with vengeful rage to kill the vandalizers is kind of a cool story arc for my character. I now have a ton of movement speed on a largely suboptimal build, aka how to League of Legends YouTube 101, but at least this Anivia is more useless than a plate of prosciutto at a rabbi's house, so yeah, I'm not proud of the fact that I flashed to bake an egg, but hey, at least I timed the last auto so that Beyblade jungler Diff Seeker didn't get the credit instead of me. With that said, gotta give the man credit, he did achieve Rift Alexa sucking him off on the intercom all game saying shit like legendary, but hey, when the enemy team opts into flashing over walls against a Talon it's kind of like teeing the ball up for him to smash it out of the park really. Plus any fight he got into I was like his wingman, showing up and just barking at people to make sure they didn't get away from him while he continued his political campaign to be the differ. Their support was dense. Not just in terms of defensive items but also in that his elevator doesn't go to the top floor. He's like the dullest of crayons in a gray crayon box with that positioning, and in this elo that means that his ADC is going to be having about as much fun as an epileptic at an EDM concert. Now as we get to the end of this analysis, I have to say with certainty that movement speed maxing is 100% better than gold maxing, because it means you simply do not need to understand how to play this game, as you can always realize that you should be somewhere on the map entirely too late and still get there in time to make a difference, which I believe is the essence of how to win in this game. So as it wraps up, I would like to say crit first strike TF is a scam, straight up Grant Cardone style, but Quinn with stupid amounts of movement speed is indeed a vibe. Rav out.